Welcome to Channel 17, the Town of Colonie Government Channel.
Hi, I'm Supervisor Paula Mahan, and welcome to Colonie Connect. Today it's my pleasure to introduce to you our special guest, Joe LaCivita. Joe is our Director of our Planning and Economic Development Department, and he came on board with us in 2008. Joe has worked very hard to help make the town's planning process a little bit smoother and a little more user-friendly, as well as he's been working extremely hard to attract good economic development to the town of Colonie. So it's our pleasure to have you here today, Joe. Welcome.
Well, thanks for having me back.
And it's we get to talk a lot on a professional basis throughout the week, but we don't often get to sit down and just talk about things in a more casual way. So it's really my pleasure to have you here today with us. One of the things that we wanted to do was provide our listeners with an update as to what's going on with the town as far as new developments, redevelopments. And the other part of it is, in some of our earlier shows, we talked a little bit about the town's planning process and how we have tried to improve it and make it user-friendly. And so if you could talk a little bit more about the progress that you've seen over the last year and just kind of update our listeners on that.
Sure. Well, I think one of the things that was really of interest and really of concern is in 2008, I think we started to see a downward motion in the climate for economic development, for just the economy as a whole. And that, in my position, is a scary thing because that's when you start to see development come to a halt. And we also were, 2007 is when we started to see that land use law was adopted, which was somewhat constricting. We saw developers leave the town because of those constricting type of laws. And that was one of the things that we started implementing right away, was to look at what was constricting and how we got that development to come back to the town. And it's really working out well. We've made changes to redevelopment. We've made changes to some of the setback rules and things, and we're starting to see development come. We have a lot of projects before us. We have a lot of projects coming out of the ground, and we have a lot of projects where developers are coming to us for conceptual.
Now, you talk about some of the changes that we've made, and anytime new laws are put into place, the new land use laws were put into place around 2007, Correct. Which was just before you started and I started actually, and so as with any new set of policies that you're following. As they're implemented, you want to see how effective they are, and if you need to make any modifications as you go along the way. And we did come across some of those changes, and we continue to see what works and what doesn't. But can you give us an example of one of the major changes? A lot of our focus is on redevelopment. What's one of the major changes that would help to encourage redevelopment in our town?
Well, I think one of the things that was a major change in the way that the planning process was and the development process was in the town is we looked to see how other municipalities around our borders were operating. One of that is with external reviews for the town designated engineers. And that was a big climate change to the town of Colonie. That was a big climate change to developers who were used to seeing things take 2, 3, 4, 5 years. And that, unfortunately, was okay for them. They knew there was frustration that they had to go through, but sooner or later they knew they would realize their project. That was the major change that we brought in November of 2008, was the implementation of the town designated engineers, where we've hired Clough Harbor and Barton and LaJudas. We're now seeing projects realized in a 7-month approval, a 4-month approval, and starting to see things going much faster. And developers that I said earlier were starting to turn away and leave the town are now coming back with projects, sitting at our desks and say, what do you think we could do? How could we realize this? We heard about the town designated engineer process. We heard about the successes. We want to come back to the town. So that's been a positive aspect.
Okay. And I know, you know, we did go through some extensive interviews with various engineering groups to see, you know, who would we felt could meet our needs in the town of Colonie. And as you stated, we're working with a couple of groups, Clough Harbor and Barton LaJudas. And they're both doing, you know, a very good job. And they are helping us as well to take a look at the program as we keep moving through the various stages. As you go through the first project or the second project, what works best, again, what can we improve upon. So we have another set of eyes, we have another set of expertise that can help us as a town so that we can be as efficient and effective as possible with our process. And the other part of it too is that like anyone else in the nation, in the state, in the county, we're all faced with some real tough economic times, and the fact that we are still drawing good development to the town is a real plus and a real credit to the work that you've done, along with a lot of other people that have worked on these initiatives. And I think the type of development that we are bringing, it's good development for the town. A lot of places that were abandoned and sitting there underutilized for years. And the Fresh Market site is one that comes to mind. It's just going to revitalize that entire corner. It's going to bring in tax dollars. It's the first one. It's the first Fresh Market in the state.
Right. Exactly.
So the fact that they chose Colonie to come here, I think our new procedures with the town designated engineers and our adjustments, the modifications, the amendments that were made to the land use law really helped to keep a project like that here in Colonie. And it's the residents, the taxpayers, our visitors, they're the ones that are going to benefit from it.
That's key. They'll benefit. One of the other things, again, is to look at that continuous improvement. And that's where the TDEs are playing a major role as well. Mm-hmm. They're working with us. They're reviewing the successes, what happened, where the glitches were. And if we don't continually look back at those policies and procedures we put place, we're going to get to be that complacency development that we had in the past. Right. And we want to just continue moving forward, which we're doing, and we're doing well.
And that's a good point. I mean, you never want to put a plan in place and then just put it in the drawer.
Leave it on the shelf, yeah.
And so one of those things is as we go through and we find things that we can improve upon, we gently keep raising that bar so it gets better and better. And like anything else, it takes time. But there's another key component here that if we as a town of Colonie, it helps our economy when we can bring new development to the town. But the other part of that too is that we're bringing jobs. Yes. We're bringing jobs to our area. And connecting with some of the things that are going on around us in connecting municipalities, connecting counties, and for example, in the area of technology. We're bringing, in many others, Fresh Markets that's more service-oriented, but we also have developments that are going on in the town that are bringing the types of jobs that are more technology-oriented. And types of jobs where people come to work and go home, so it's less of an impact on traffic. These are the kinds of things that you have to balance out continually when you're looking at projects, or they come before our boards, which are independent, and we want them to make good, informed decisions. So all the background, all the homework that's done really pays off.
Yeah. And we just had those conversations too about jobs and creation of jobs and what we're doing for workforce development with the school systems. Mm-hmm. We were there talking about the budget, but yet we asked them, what are they doing towards future workforce development? Because we're starting to see the change in jobs that are coming, good quality jobs that mm-hmm. are coming to the mm-hmm. town. So we're trying to see, work even with the youth that has to come in, and there's going to be those trades, there's going to be the office worker, and there's going to be the service worker worker. Those are all industries that are here and pretty evident in the town of Colonie, and we just have to continue to make sure we have a workforce that's going to be here to serve them in the future.
Yeah, there's a little bit for everybody, and even when we're talking with the schools, we make connections as well with the local colleges to see what direction they're going, and even at the community college level, their sites are on. They're on two different tracks. One, you're always going to have the students that are going to go for 2 years with the intentions of transferring onto a four-year college for specific types of careers that would require that. But the community colleges are connecting into that component with, now that we have technology coming to our area, there are jobs where the students can be trained in 2-year technical type programs, and even on-the-job training with connections to some of these agencies, so that the kids get a real hands-on training that when they get there, it's almost like a student teaching. They do so much time, and they have people that are trained to do this work, because if we don't have people from our area, we've got to go out to other states, and
Absolutely.
And they've got to draw people. We'd rather, if we could, we'd like to have our people working in the area and stay in the area.
Or we lose those companies to other states.
Yes.
I know when Angiodynamics was looking to come to the area, they were competing between Boston, Westchester County, outside the area. And the capital region is rich in resources. We have the colleges here, as you talked about. We have a lot of workforce here. And that's what we have to continually do. If we don't develop or change our planning processes to meet a time limit that developers need to develop to attract these companies in, we're going to lose the fresh markets, we're going to lose the Angiodynamics and any other company that looks into the borders of town of Colonie. So that's why we're trying to make those changes, all for the positive, all for the better, all for the residents of the town.
Now, the fresh market, that plaza, that's a redevelopment.
Yes.
Angiodynamics is an extension of the Century Hill area. And Angiodynamics, just the fact that they're bringing their headquarters here, they're going to attract other businesses that are similar in nature, that are going to want to be a part of that complex. And then we have, again, we as I stated earlier, our focus has been on redevelopment. Colonie is a town that is pretty much built out. And rather than, with the land we have left, rather than have vacant parcels just be sitting there, or parcels that are underutilized, we're trying to attract people to redevelop those areas.
That's correct.
Because it number one, it makes the town look better. It saves open space, and it brings in jobs and tax dollars, and it's just that revitalization in itself brings a lot of energy. So we have a number of redevelopment projects going on, and I know Fresh Markets is one. Can you name a few others?
Yeah, actually, another international firm that's come to us is Precision Valve Automation. They're going to have approximately 1,500 hotel nights that you're going to see. So again, with the attraction of the companies that we're getting, the quality of the attraction that we're getting, it's a trickle-down effect into our local economy here. The hotels win, the restaurants win. There's so much overflow. Our IDA, for a matter, what we're talking now with the Colonie Industrial Development Authority, we're looking at what benefits we can now develop, whether we do some type of deviation from our tax code policy to attract that development, to attract them into redeveloping sites that are currently languishing and just sitting there and going down in decline, like our corner lot there where the Fresh Market is.
Yeah.
We got to figure out ways to attract them to those areas and look to see what type of benefits we can get. And that's one of the things I got to say about our boards, both the planning board and the IDA. We have a group of people that are engaged. They get it. They really got to see what's the next step. What do we need to do in order to continually attract those businesses? How are our approval processes going? Where are the hang-ups? And I got to say, I'm working with 14 people that are just absolutely fantastic, and they really help. They help that process through.
Well, it's a team approach. It's not something that one person or a couple people can do. It's a team approach, and we really value the opinions of our boards. As I said, they are they're independent, and We've tried to diversify them so that we get a lot of people with different careers, different backgrounds, because they each bring, a different view to the table, and recognize some of the positives and negatives that if we have everyone on the board that's from the same place and the same background, it doesn't give it much variety, and it's not as objective. And that's what we're looking for. We're looking for those objective views. I know certainly we keep going back to Fresh Market. I mean, that's a huge hit. Everybody and their brother is waiting for this this to open up, and we're pretty proud of the fact that we're the first one around. So that's really a good thing.
Yeah.
But we want to continue down that road. We've done some redevelopment on Central Avenue.
Yes.
And part of that, part of what has been helpful there was the amendment that we made to the green space law.
That was big. That was a big help.
Because you take a look at your laws, and they're meant for areas for improvement and to attract development, but have it be good quality. If it's sitting there abandoned, it's of no benefit, to anyone. So if we can have these areas redeveloped, it's a win-win for everybody. And so the amendment to that green space, so that the green space is still there, but when it's not practical, when it's impossible to get a certain amount, to make people that are trying to make an area look better pay a penalty, it just doesn't seem to make sense.
It wasn't. They entitled it an incentive fee in the land use law, and when you pay a fee, just because you can't develop it a proper way, that's not a fee. It's a disincentive, really. But with the change that we made, to help the Fresh Market attract here, it also is now spurring future growth that we've seen a year later. We're seeing redevelopment in the Central Avenue corridor, as you mentioned. We have Paisan's Pizzeria that took a lot, and they're starting to develop there. They just received their concept approval the other evening at the planning board level. We've seen Green's Appliance come in, redevelop a parcel, and a neighboring parcel with them going for even LEED certification. That's another one that we're starting to see is a success. And the change in that incentive fee is going to hopefully help with the future changeover conversion for the Latham Mall. That's a mall that's going to be just going into downward decline over time, and we've got to make those changes in order to attract again, which we're doing.
And we also, we try, I know I've been encouraging members of the board and the staff to try to get some feedback from the residents when there are concerns. I mean, typically we don't want to do things that are going to be detrimental to the areas. We certainly want them to make it better. Part of it, and most people understand, we have legal parameters that we have to follow, and people do have a right to build on their property, but we try our best to interact with the neighbors and the residents that are affected, along with the developers, to come to consensus as to what's best for a particular area. And I think that's an important part of the process.
It is, and it's a strong balancing act, because some of those areas that you talk about, we're controlled by the New York State Department of Transportation, because we have the 9 corridor that goes through us, the Route 2 and the Route 7. We got Albany County. That's another one. So when we have a business wanting to build, has the ability to build, and now they have to go to a lead agency or a control agency, as they're entitled, now you have to get a curb cut, or you have to do this.
Right.
And that's a balancing act, because now we're putting traffic onto their roads, and then that unfortunately puts traffic back into residential roads, because everybody's going to try to find a way to get home at night or get to work in the morning, and that's a balancing act. That's a major balancing act that we're trying to work with.
Well, we're very sensitive to that. I mean, we try everything we can not to impact the neighborhoods, and the road system in Colonie. A lot of people may not even realize this, but the road system is a little complex. We own a lot of the roads, but the county owns some of the roads. The state owns some of the roads. And we work collaboratively with them on various projects. For example, Maxwell Road Exit 6. These are all major projects that we could not do
Right.
on our own.
Right. It's far from a grid pattern that you typically see in the urban settings in the cities and that border us, the villages that border us. So.
So there's a lot of different variables that come into play that the average citizen, when they look at a development, they obviously don't have all that information. So it helps when we can clarify things, and we're there to answer questions to the best of our ability. And that's something we've tried very hard to work at. There are a number of things going on with development in the town of Colonie, but is there anything in particular that you would like to see for the future? What's your vision for the future? Where are we headed? We're staying on the path with redevelopment, focusing mainly on that. What are some ideas that you might have?
Well, one of the things the Industrial Development Agency has been working on again is that Lincoln Avenue corridor, that forgotten space in the town. We also have the Tobin site. We're working very hard on doing that. The IDA has been very engaged in doing environmental studies on properties like that to see how we can redevelop them and make them be a contributing factor to the tax base, whether that be industrial use, commercial use, whatever we can. So we're working hard towards that. We're also looking at, our comprehensive plan talks about, the walkability and the village style effect within our township. Now that's hard to do in a suburban area, but there's certain pockets or certain corridors we could try to attempt to make that happen. And we were very successful in the start of that with Berkshire Bank. That's going to be the start of the redevelopment for the village of New Loudon, which you're going to see mixed use. You're going to see some residential in there. It's going to be a total new look for the Route 9 corridor there. But the next step with that is what's that pathway to bring some 3,500 students safely to that area? So we're looking at what we can do for walkways, path abilities, that we can have safe travel for both pedestrian and bike. So we're looking at a bunch of different things that we're doing, and update our comprehensive plan as well. Okay,
sounds good. Yeah, we do have a lot of reviewing with the comprehensive plan and the land use laws. These are things that it takes a long time. They're very very comprehensive, but as we do notice that there's potential for positive change, we bring that to the attention of everyone else that's involved, and if it's a good thing for the town, then we try to move in that direction. So,
and we've been listening to our developers. We've been listening actually to our students. Over the past winter months, I spent 15 weeks with Siena College in assisting us in developing that pathways plan, looking at what connecting paths they could make. And they actually applied for a grant under the Hudson Greenway on behalf of the town and on behalf of Siena College to give them accessibility down to our Schuyler Flats corridor. So if Siena is going to be successful and Siena is going to partner with the town of Colonie, those are the type of other successes we want to do. We want to engage our youth, hopefully who remain here, and see how we could move the town forward.
One of the things that's currently going on, and everyone's aware of it if they drive on Route 7 or anywhere in that area, we have talked about it at town board meetings and various sessions. DOT has talked about the Exit 6, the new bridge that's going in there. I have to say Department of Transportation has done an outstanding job. This March through October is our most difficult period. This is phase 2 of the entire project. Correct. And then phase 3, everything hopefully will be running and they'll be doing their cleanup work, but things will be in motion. As I go through there, traffic is still moving. Certainly our businesses that are located in that area, our travelers back and forth, we're doing everything we can to try to make that as comfortable as possible under the circumstances. Our police department is there monitoring traffic for safety. They're monitoring the area around the bridge, but we also have some extra patrols in the area of the roads that are really getting hit hard, that are right in that area. Again, for safety purposes, to make sure people take it easy and understand there's a delay, and maybe some assistance with alternative routes and things like that. So we're trying to do everything we can, and DOT is working very well with us. But when that gets done, that's in that area there, it's going to be a totally new look, and it should be safer, and it should improve the congestion to a degree. We can't correct it 100% because that area through the years has been so built out.
Right.
But it should be a major improvement. And so that last piece is to get that Latham Mall, something really redeveloped in that area
Right.
there. And I know you're working on that. So
Yeah.
I get a lot of questions on that.
We do. I know we've heard about the single big box use there, and I don't know if the town is really want to continue the path of looking at that single user for a parcel that large. The SPUI, as we talk about that single urban point interchange, a number of residents call our office, about the traffic congestions and things like that. As I say, DOT, they did do a wonderful job with the homework that they did, educating our people and things like that. But it is, as I say, they are a control agency. They are one of the large state agencies. That's their project. A lot of people have that misconception that it's our project
Right.
within the town, and it was planned long before we started to see this road. I can't wait for it to happen. I think it's going to ease that road much more, and hopefully that will bring development to that Latham Mall corridor too.
Yeah, and I think the Latham Mall corridor is certainly a prime spot. And right now, with the economy the way it is, people are taking a little bit more time to make their decisions. But it's a prime spot that
Yes.
sooner or later, something hopefully good will go in there that we're all, waiting for. But again, that whole area is going to be a whole different site. It's going to be upgraded with the median and safer places for pedestrians to cross all the way around. It's going to be major improvements. So if we can get through until October, we'll be okay.
We'll be all set, yeah.
But we do have, a number of improvements that we've done in planning for traffic patterns, and a couple of them are done. We've got the roundabout is done now on Old Niskuna, Old Wolf Road, that area there. It's really cleaned it up. This should help with all the flooding that used to occur there and the confusion with which way the cars should go. So that's worked out well. And Maxwell Road relocation is on its way.
Yes.
They're working on that, quite quickly. So there are a lot of things going on. And again, a lot of these are collaborative projects. Some we have the lead on, some the state does, some the county does.
Yes.
And so we try to work well together. Well, we only have a few minutes. I certainly am glad that you could be here today with us, and we could talk about what's going on with planning in the town of Colonie. And things change, every so many months we have some major changes. So I hope that we can maybe make this a regular thing where we can provide, our residents with an update as to what's going on in planning.
Absolutely.
And because I think it's beneficial.
One of the things we didn't talk about, which is a behind-the-scenes action with the town, is the way we're now developing our internal reporting process. We have our CityWorks program, which all our projects will be tracked through, which again, I think it offers a level of accountability. It offers a level of expediency to where you get a project moving through, and anyone in any of the departments can look up a project at any point in time. So that's a level of customer service that has not been here at the town before. I think the developers will be happy. I think the residents will be happy when they're looking for their permits. We'll be able to call it up. We won't have to go to a file. We're going to be computer friendly, and we're going to be customer service orientated. So that's something new for the future as well.
I think that's great, and the time is certainly right for that. Hey, we're moving into the future.
That's right.
So it's great. Well, I thank you very much for being here,
you.
and I look forward of us getting together to provide our community with an update. So
Wonderful.
thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. And thank you for tuning in to Colonie Connect.